The 7 million-year history of mankind is about to end by no other than the ones who created mankind, the gods. At the Council of Valhalla, the gods had gathered after 1,000 years since the last meeting to decide the fate of mankind. Zeus is leading the meeting, asking the rest of the gods if they should let mankind live for another 1,000 years, or end them. Shiva speaks first and supports their end because in the past 1,000 years they have not shown any intention to reform themselves. Aphrodite supports their end as well, stating the world had become unpleasant with all the trash spreading around the world, forests disappearing, and animals going extinct. The other gods agree with Shiva and Aphrodite's statements, and all vote to end mankind. Zeus prepares to announce the final decision. However, Brunhild, one of the Valkyries, interrupts him as she objects. She states that simply ending them would be too crude and proposes the gods to demonstrate their mercy and power by testing mankind. Brunhilde then suggests Ragnarok, as stipulated in the ultra-special clause of Article 62, paragraph 15 of the Constitution of Valhalla. It is one-on-one battle between the gods and mankind. 13 humans and 13 gods face one-on-one, and the first to achieve 7 victories wins. If gods win, mankind will be eliminated, but if humans win, mankind will live for another 1,000 years. The thought of a human defeating a god makes the gods laugh and find this as a joke. Brunhilde then mocks them their wish to avoid direct competition with humans, as if they are afraid. The gods laugh, attempting to hide their anger. Zeus then accepts the proposal and agrees the gods to fight the humans and tells Brunhilde to select the human fighters. At the Valhalla arena, Ragnarok is about to start. Heimdall appears in the middle of the arena to announce the start. The winner is determined by opponent's death. The first representative of the gods is the strongest Norse god and god of thunder, Thor. Brunhilde isn't worried, as the warrior she chose is the most badass and most maniacal warrior. Heimdall then announces, the human representative is the most powerful of all Chinese heroes, Lu Bu. Heimdall then takes a deep breath and blows out his Gjallarhorn, announcing the start of Ragnarok. The battle between Thor and Lu Bu starts, but neither take a guard stance and simply walk towards each other with lowered weapons. Both have so far vanquished their enemies with a single blow. As they get close, Lu Bu strikes with his spear. Thor blocks it with his hammer but gets pushed back. Lu Bu then lunges towards Thor. Thor blocks Lu Bu's attack and pushes him back. Thor then jumps and attacks Lu Bu, however, this time Lu Bu blocks the attack. Thor then uses electricity and grabs his hammer with both hands and bends backwards to take a stance. Hugin and Munin comment that Lu Bu must have earned some of Thor's respect, otherwise he wouldn't use Thor's hammer on a human. In ancient times, Asgard was surrounded by high walls that protected it from invasions from the land of the giants, Jotunheimr. While guarding the walls, the guardian angels complain how peaceful it is. Suddenly, an army of 66 frost giants stormed Asgard. Tyr and the guardian angels fought, but were overwhelmed and the giants broke through the walls. The guardian angel knights came, but were no match for the giants either. Asgard was on the verge of destruction as the giants reached the castle gates. Forseti started to panic, however. Thor alone opened the gates. Bored, he single-handedly obliterated all 66 giants. His killing technique was later called Thor's hammer. Seeing Thor taking the stance, all gods know Thor's hammer is coming and believe it would be the end of Lu Bu. Thor then strikes with Thor's hammer. The impact sends Heimdall and Zhang Fei flying. Liu Bei and the other viewers are shocked by the blast, with Forseti cheering Thor on. Odin does not react, though Hugin and Munin are barely able to brace for the impact. Aphrodite's breasts are flung into her face. Shiva yawns at the impact and remarks that the fight is over. Gull falls on her knees, believing it's the end. However, Brunhilde tells her to stand up and observe the moment when the history of the gods and mankind is transformed. As the shockwave and dust clears, Lu Bu pushes back Thor's hammer and slashes him, causing a wound on his chest. The sight surprises the gods. Both Lu Bu and Thor then thought that if they were born in same era and species, they could have been friends. Years ago, in the Mongolian steppes, a young Lu Bu travels in search of the strongest opponent. His name eventually spread across all China, and all those who stood in his way were eventually exterminated, which in return increased those who followed him. After 30 years of traveling, Lu Bu realized there is no one on earth who is matched to him. Lu Bu was eventually captured by Cao Cao, and it was said he begged for his life. However, Lu Bu became captive because he was bored, as knowing he was the strongest, he no longer found life worth living. Zeus is surprised, and Hermes wonders if it's how a human can injure a god. Zeus comments it's not only that, but facing Thor's Mjolnir. Any human weapon would crumble instantly, as no human weapon can withstand that of a god's. Looking at Brunhilde, Zeus realizes what is going on. Before Ragnarok begins, Brunhilde tells Gull that Lu Bu will be the first fighter. Gull finds him too dangerous, but even if he is the strongest warrior, she wonders if he stand a chance against a god. Brunhilde states, he obviously doesn't stand a chance, as no human weapons stand a chance against the gods' weapons. However, if they also have a weapon of the gods, things would be different. The 13 Valkyries then arrive, summoned by Brunhilde, causing Gull to comment it's the first time she saw all 13 together and wonders what is Brunhilde up to. Before Ragnarok, Brunhilde calls the fourth sister, Randgriz, and asks her if she knows of Thor's sacred weapons. Randgriz confirms the iron gloves which can fend off any attack, Jarngriper, and his hammer, Mjolnir. Brunhilde finds those two weapons as the dirtiest cheats of all sacred items, but in order to defeat Thor, they need to overcome them. Brunhilde asks Randgriz if she will dedicate her body for that purpose, and Randgriz agrees. Lu Bu's halberd starts to glow, making the gods realize what it is. Brunhilde explains that the Valkyries have a hidden power, Volunder, which transforms their body into a sacred weapon able to rival the gods' weapons, and Randgriz had become a Volunder for Lu Bu. Each Valkyrie special ability dwells in the weapons made through Volund. Randgriz's name means shield breaker. As Lu Bu disarms Thor and strikes with his halberd, Thor blocks using his iron gloves, but they start to crack. Mjolnir is a powerful weapon. However, anyone wielding its immense power and intense lava-like heat will be annihilated. For that, Thor wears Jarngriper, the greatest armor in the heavens, allowing him to wield Mjolnir. From Lu Bu's strike, the right glove shatters into pieces, surprising the gods. The Lu Bu supporters find great honor to have lived in the same era as him. Hermes states he figured it himself. He explains that the Valkyrie's job is to guide souls of the greatest warriors to heaven, to be the soldiers of the gods, and protect the heavens from any crisis. However, there is a rumor from ancient times that the Valkyries are preparing for is not a crisis in heaven, and it is said they transform themselves into weapons for those that they bring in heaven. The warriors that they have gathered will battle the gods in Ragnarok, using the powers they received. As Lu Bu manages to injure Thor again, Zeus confirms it's the Valkyries are rebelling against the gods, but finds it as the biggest thrill he had since the Big Bang, and that turns him on. Mjolnir starts to heat up and melt the ground. Suddenly, everyone start to hear a sound and realize Mjolnir is throbbing. Thor approaches it, commenting it's finally awakened. Mjolnir cracks its outer shell, revealing to have flesh inside. Zeus explains, there is a misunderstanding about the legend of Mjolnir and Jarngriper. The gloves are not there to protect Thor from Mjolnir's power, but to retrain Thor's power, to prevent him from crushing Mjolnir before it awakens. Thor then removes the remaining glove and tosses it aside, creating a small crater as it hits the ground. Thor then lifts Mjolnir and asks Lubu to not die. Brunhilde receives a message on her phone and sees she received the full list of Ragnarok participants. On God's side, there is Zeus, Buddha, Loki, Apollo, Poseidon, Susanoo no Mikoto, Heracles, Thor, Bishamonten, Anubis, Odin, Beelzebub, and Shiva. While the human side is Qin Shi Huang, Leonidas, Nikola Tesla, Kojiro Sasaki, Raiden Tameemon, Adam, Grigory Rasputin, Lubu, Soji Okita, Michelle Nostradamus, Simo Haiha, Sakata Kintoki, and Jack the Ripper. Maze also shows the list to Zeus, who finds it more exciting than he expected. As Thor prepares to swing with his full power and awakened Mjolnir, the gods gets excited as it will be for the first time. Thor then throws Mjolnir at Lubu, and according to legend, it had never missed once in 100 throws. Lubu bends back and down, dodging the hammer. Lubu then rushes towards Thor, but sees Mjolnir coming from behind and dodges again. Thor then grabs the hammer, revealing that he didn't throw him to hit Lubu, but to use his centrifugal force as it returns to deliver the ultimate blow. Thor then uses Geirröd Thor's hammer, striking Lubu. Lubu blocks Thor's mighty Geirröd, Thor's hammer, however his legs break. Zeus likes that Lubu took the blow as he likes head-to-head fights, however. Now Lubu can't take much more, and the winner is determined. As Thor lifts his hammer again, Chen Gong cries, knowing he will see the death of his master once again. Lubu's trusty steed comes in the arena. Realizing Red Hair haven't give up, Chen Gong inspires everyone to continue cheering for Lubu. Heimdall doesn't believe Lubu can stand up, but following everyone's cheers, Lubu manages to stand up and then gets on Red Hair's back. Lubu recalls how, as a child, he saw a bolt of lightning burst an enormous tree into flames. But it didn't frighten him. He naively thought there must be someone awesome in the sky. Hermes asks if Zeus is approving the interference of Red Hair, as it should be against the rules. Zeus, telling him not to spoil the fun, specifies that in any case, Lubu and Red Hair have now become one. Lubu starts to run in circles around Thor and grabs the halberd at the very tip. Back in his past, when he realized he was the strongest, Lubu still kept swinging and practicing his weapon technique, breaking numerous halberds, as he knew that one day he will face a mighty foe. After several years of practice, Lubu developed superhuman grip and arm strength, splitting the sky and developing a new technique, Sky Eater. Lubu jumps towards Thor to use a Sky Eater, exciting Thor as he now gets intrigued by humans. Thor throws his hammer and prepares for Geirröd Thor's hammer. The attacks clash, causing burst of lightning and shock a wave. The halberd breaks and Rangriz returns to her normal form. Thor's attack wins, shattering Lubu's arms. Knowing he used everything he had, Lubu feels joy and charges one last time at Thor, who then beheads Lubu with his hammer. Heimdall announces Thor as the winner of the first battle in Ragnarok, and the gods start celebrating their first win. Heimdall says humans are now one step closer to their extinction. As Lubu dies with a smile, Liu Bei, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei drink a toast for their fallen hero. Meanwhile, the gods mock the humans, telling them they didn't stood a chance. Looking depressed, Thor heads towards the exit of the arena. However, Lubu's army, led by Chen Gong and Red Hair, state that it's meaningless to continue living without their lord and wish to die with him and charge at Thor. Thor agrees, stating it's an offering for his friend, Lubu, and kills the smiling Lubu's army. Gull wonders what will happen to Lubu and Rangriz. Brunhilde explains that there is no after for them. Brunhilde explains this is a battle of souls, and once their souls crumble, they cannot recover, be reborn, or be saved in any way. They cease to exist and become dust. Go gets upset, seeing that Brunhild isn't even sad that they will no longer see Randgrease, but Brunhild yells at her, stating that you can't slay a god if you act sad. They return to Brunhild's room, where she selects the next fighter, the first human, and the one that detests the gods the most. The Valhalla arena has been restored, and Heimdall appears to announce the fighters in the second round. He first introduces the human fighter, and a platform rises him high in the sky above the arena. Animals then come out and surround the platform. Heimdall explains he is a man who called himself a man and was born of God but rebelled against him. He was charged with the original sin and detests the gods more than any human. The father of all mankind, Adam. As the crowd cheer for him, Adam then bites and spits out a red apple, stating it's sour. Meanwhile, the gods doesn't find him appealing compared to Lu Bu, but Aphrodite finds him cute. Heimdall proceeds with the introduction of the gods fighter and calls the strongest Indian god. However, no one comes out of the corridor. Heimdall then receives a message: there is change in fighter's order. A music is heard, and Mozart and Bach realize it's Bach's Air on the G string. But Bach have never heard more beautiful play of it than this. Hermes appear playing on a violin. Heimdall proceeds with the introduction and explains the one who will face Adam is Zeus. Gull and Brunhild are shocked, while the humans wonder if the old man can fight. Zeus tells Hermes to play his introduction song, and Hermes gets excited as it's been centuries since he last played Great Massacre on the G battlefield. Hermes summons more violins and start playing, while Zeus starts dancing. Heimdall states that while Adam is the father of mankind, then Zeus is GFOC, the godfather of the cosmos. The gods start chanting GFOC. Heimdall explains that Zeus once caused the battle to determine the most powerful god, Titaniumachi, and had killed his own father, Kronos. As Zeus continues to dance, his muscles start to expand and enlarge, and he gets buffed. The humans are surprised this is Zeus, while Brunhilde didn't expect Zeus to be fighting in the second round.